Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of Bahrain Now as we feature some of the country's top talents, initiatives, and latest trends. So stay tuned, we'll be right back with more. Authentic Greek food with an entire Greek feel. Our next guest is the founder of Befteki, an award-winning restaurant for being the greatest Greek food on the island. Sheikh Abdul Khalifa, pleasure to have you with us here tonight.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine, Barra. Thank you very much for getting me here. Thank you.
Definitely, and congratulations for the award.
Thank you very much. It was not expected. Thank you for Fact Magazine and thank you for the voters. And I think our hard work paid off.
Definitely. Yeah. So you opened like 2 years ago, 1 year ago?
I opened a year ago on the 30th of November 2019. And after a year of working really hard, alhamdulillah, it paid off.
Amazing.
Yeah, a small shop in the middle of East Rafah that has been recognized. That's an honor. It's really nice.
It's the pride of Bahrain right now, definitely.
That's a good feeling.
It is, I'm sure. I mean, I can feel it right now with the vibes.
Yeah.
Greek positive vibes.
Exactly.
So, Befteki, what does it mean?
Befteki is actually, we call it in Bahrain kufta.
Okay.
In Arabic. And in English, they would call it a burger, maybe?
Maybe, yeah, a burger,
it's just
a patty.
A patty of beef, minced beef that is grilled, but it's made in a certain way.
Okay, and it's the Greek word for kufta.
Exactly. We're just keeping it simple.
Amazing.
What do you sell? We sell kufta.
Okay, but really good kufta got us the award. Hello.
Exactly. Alhamdulillah. It has been. It's just a matter of the honesty in work and making sure that the consistency in quality, following up and checking and making sure that you stay on the same path. And hoping that it does not go down. But alhamdulillah, until now, it's very good.
Amazing.
Looking forward for better things.
Why Greek?
Actually, it happened with a friend of mine, and it started with the food festival. What do you cook? And I'm like, Greek.
Greek, just like that?
Yeah, because I used to live with Greeks for a very long time, and actually they taught me, and most of them, in the accommodation were women, so they were cooking like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and it is in their culture that they're eaters. They love food. They love and they love their food, and they're very proud of it. So that's maybe one thing that made Befteki special, because I actually respected the Greek cuisine and made sure that it is the way it's supposed to be. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, well, there is definitely some magic there.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
You see it there.
There you go. It's pretty interesting that, the Greek cuisine is not one of those known cuisines that people will talk about here in Bahrain. Like, you will see the Asian, the Indian, the American, but then you went with Greek and you went with the odds. I'm like, I'm going to make it happen due to the passion. So when you opened Befteki, how was the reception?
Actually, when I was in the food festival, it was amazing. It's, we used to sell 40 kgs of beef.
That's a lot.
Yeah, from 40 kgs of beef. It's not this is an unexpected. It was 2 weeks, I remember. The first 3 days we were sold out by maybe 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And we had to tell the people, we're sorry, we cannot do it. The next day we increased, and kept on increasing until the last 3 or 4 days, it was 40 kgs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of meat.
That's a lot of meat.
I mean,
a lot of meat.
Definitely. And now, as the Greek experience with the restaurant, but another experience is just to find the place in the heart of Rafah, and let alone finding a parking space right there.
Well, yeah. Actually, the location I was born in that house, and there is a connection between me and the house that goes against the business. That's not right as a businessman or a business owner.
Okay.
You know, you should just work with the business, but you know, sometimes you can do some sacrifices.
Right.
And I am insisting on making sure that who comes to the restaurant gets a different experience of getting lost,
Right.
or not finding a car park,
Yeah.
or you know, there is a book that I've read a long time ago that says whatever you think opposite.
Think opposite.
You know what I mean? And it works. It really works.
Definitely.
And when they come to me, the first thing they do is complain, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, it's just an experience. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Then I just remind them that it's an experience, and it works. It works, and they love it. Yeah, you know, I'm glad I have my returning customers. I have actually a lot of expats that
Right.
come, you know, all the way from Amouaj, and I called my mother once and I said, Mom, I have a Russian and a Lebanese in the restaurant, and she said, and Rafah. I said, I think, and she told me, I think that's the first time in the history of that area that these two nationalities are together in one place.
Amazing. It even like it got a lot of momentum. Even His Excellency Sheikh Khalid Khalifa
Exactly.
paid his visit.
He came and he honored us by visiting, and you know, I really appreciate his support. You know, even with this award, he congratulated me, and he gave me some really, you know, motivating words, and you know, to keep me going and fighting for what I really believe in. To be honest with you, I struggled in the beginning because I was working totally different than other restaurants and other way of thinking. Right. And apparently I started for some time doubting myself.
Okay.
And then suddenly just worked out, and I said, yeah, I was sure I was doing something right. Yeah, and it happened, alhamdulillah. Yeah.
And what it was beautiful is like passing by the restaurant and having to see Greek people enjoying your food as well.
Actually, yes. Actually, the table was booked at that day, and they come and enjoy their food, and listening to the comments from them, and
right.
asking them, is there anything wrong with the food? And when they say no, and I'm like, you know, like jumping around.
Beautiful.
Because it's very satisfying hearing that from Greeks, because I'm not Greek, but I'm serving Greek food.
Okay.
And you know, when you serve, it's like, you know, when you serve it, you should know what you're doing. It's not a joke, you know. When you're, maybe some people will get offended or something. You never know how any person will react, especially when it comes to your own cuisine.
Right.
And when they tell me that it's done right, I'm like jumping all over the place. Yeah.
So when Bahrainis pass by and they try, like, say, the Greek cuisine for the first time, what is like their feedback mostly? Is it new to them? Is it like familiar?
Some of them, yes. Some of them are familiar with it, because a lot of Bahrainis go to Greece actually. Okay. And some of them it's familiar to them. Some of them they expect it to be like the Turkish or the Persian kufta that has this saffron, okay, the spices. The Greek cuisine is a very, very simple cuisine. To be honest with you, it's just, you know, I would say most of it is olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even with the cake, right?
Even with the cake, yeah. I've tried it. Yeah, even with the cake. Yeah, but that's a creation of Bifteki, so, you know.
Love it.
Cake,
I love it.
Yeah.
How?
It's the only place in Bahrain that you can eat your cake with your hands.
With my hands, yeah. With your hands, with olive oil.
With olive oil, yeah, and
Love
honey.
It. And honey. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did
Yeah,
try
yeah,
that. Definitely.
yeah.
It was an interesting mix, that's for sure.
Yeah, olive oil and honey sprayed on top of it in front of you. Yeah.
And what I noticed as well with the Greek culture, that when they passed by the restaurant, they were energetic, loud, expressive.
They are always like this. That's their nature. This is something you cannot change in Greek. You know, if you don't understand the language, sometimes you think they're fighting. Oh, they're just speaking.
Yes.
They're just speaking. That's how, everything is amplified in their life when it comes to culture. When it comes to, they're very proud people.
Mm.
Everything is made in Greece. Everything.
Mm.
They're very proud of their country, their product, their food, their culture, their language.
Right.
And that's a nice thing.
It is.
It's a nice. Your pride is your own motivator.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So if I want to get you to do something, I'm going to motivate you to, like tap your pride, and
Right.
you'll do anything because
Tap your pride.
Yeah, because that's what gives you power in the end. So and Greeks are proud. They're proud people,
Right.
and they don't like it when you say something that is that's not Greek, or they're like, no, this is Greek.
Everything is Greek. Huh?
Yeah, everything's Greek to them. Yeah, and that's something funny and interesting, and Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting. So, did you make sure that that culture is translated and conveyed through your food?
I am very careful,
Okay.
very careful, because in the end, you don't mess with culture.
Okay.
You don't mess with other people's, heritage. It's a matter of just respect.
Okay.
So I made sure that I respect it to every single thing I know.
Mm.
In the end, I don't know everything, but
Right.
I ask. I made it so good that when they eat, they'll become friendly with me. You know what I mean? I won't get home.
All right, all right.
It's like, okay, they're
We're
happy
friends
with.
now.
Yeah, we're friends now.
Yeah. I hear you. Now, speaking of culture, like one of the things that we notice in the restaurant is that the bell.
The bell.
What's the story behind that?
The bell has nothing to do with the culture.
Okay.
The story of the bell. Actually, I was in the food festival. I think it was 2017,
Mm.
and they put me in a corner that people were passing me. In the end, I paid for the location, I paid for the electricity. I want to make money.
Right.
I want to cover and make profit.
Right.
So I cannot keep on, excuse me, come and calling people. So what I called the guy who actually does the transport for me of the equipment, and I told him, bring me some lights, bring me a lot of lights. Yeah, so put the lights on, and then it picked up a little bit, and then I said, no, bring me some more lights. So I had to put more lights, and still, it picked up a little bit more, but still not what I want. So I said, the best way is to attack another sense in the human's body. So what is the sense? Okay, the smell. So I started grilling extra stuff and, pouring water or oil and making the smoke, more. So now I have the, the looks and the smell. So
Right.
it's still not working. So I said, attack another sense. So
Hearing.
hearing, yeah. So I was running around, where can I find a bell? Where can I find a bell? And I found a bell, and I just hanged it. So I was sure of what I'm doing in regard the food. So if I give them a piece, I know that they'll like it.
Mm.
So I wrote on top of the bell, ring the bell if you like the food.
Okay.
So the bell has nothing to do with the culture. When the people eat, they start. They come and they're like, they walk close, and they start reading, and then they start, cut a piece of meat and give it to them, and they taste it. They tang, 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 and they
Right.
ring the bell.
Right.
Then they order. This worked. Then everybody who came to the festival actually, it's like the shop with the bell.
They ring the bell.
Yeah, they come to ring the bell, and then they order, and the word started spreading,
Mm.
and it worked. And then the bell became a signature of Bafeki.
It is.
And suddenly, people started ringing the bell so much. I did not realize that, but because when I speak to my staff, for example, and I told them that the Greeks, when they're happy, they say "Oppa," and you know what I mean. And when, for example, if it's so busy, I tell the guys, "Oppa, come on, come on, push it." And one guest came, rang the bell, and one of my staff, the guy who does the bread,
Right.
this guy, he just sits down and do bread because it's too busy. It's too busy. The only thing he does is bread.
Right.
We reached up to 8 people in the booth,
Oh, wow.
working.
wow.
So that's mashallah. It's we were a logistic nightmare for the organizers. The queue in front of the booth.
Right.
So we were so busy at this moment. I still remember I was, rolling, and we had 2 stations of rolling. It was me and a friend of mine, and the rest are doing the beef and the bread, and suddenly a customer rang the bell, and the last guy who does the bread screamed, "Ah!"
And that's it. It picked up.
And when he said Oppa, the whole staff, me and my friend, everybody, we left everything. Oppa. And then I turned around and I said, wow, that's an amazing idea. And
That's it.
then the amazing idea came from the guy who's sitting in the back doing the bread.
Doing the bread.
So this is the potential in the staff. You have to trust your staff that they could improve your business.
Right.
And that's this small boy who's doing bread in the back created Oppa.
A phenomena for Beftiki.
Yeah, he created Oppa.
That's great.
And I give it to him. He created Oppa.
Beautiful.
Then I told the guys, if you hear the bell just ringing from the wind, if the wind hits the bell and goes ding, scream Oppa.
Oppa.
And that's exactly what's happening.
That's a fun thing for me to do every time I pass by. I have to ring the bell.
Yeah.
Oppa, and I just hear them all together.
Yeah.
Thinking it was actually part of a Greek culture, but apparently something that was created and invented.
It was created just to get the attention of the people and became something,
Amazing.
a signature of Beftiki.
Amazing. So before we end this beautiful Greek conversation, Oppa, so what is the future of Beftiki, and any last words to your viewers here on Bahrain Now?
Come to Beftiki and try it. Try it. It's worth trying. It's not because it's my restaurant or I'm the founder or whatever. It is different.
Okay.
I know that. It is different, and everybody told me it's different, and the future of Beftiki, who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? But there is a future.
Definitely.
I cannot speak about something now.
Yes.
Nothing comes in my head now, but there is a future.
Well,
there is an amazing future for us.
looking forward to that. And
Thank
again,
you very much.
congratulations for the award being
you
the
very
best Greek restaurant here in Bahrain.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do it the Greek way. Go to Beftiki and ring that bell. More coming up right here on Bahrain Now. And ladies and gentlemen, with us here tonight is the first Bahraini ever to become a director of business of the esports development here on an international entity with Nuth Abdallah. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
Happy to be here.
Pleasure. So, and director,
Yes.
esports.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Fantastic. It's an opportunity to present. It's an opportunity to work with clients worldwide, get to know the industry inside out, not just from Bahrain, but the whole planet. It's very exciting.
Amazing. I mean, you started off in esports here in Bahrain,
Yes.
and now going to an international entity. That's like a big leap.
It's a huge level up. It's so at the beginning I always started as marketing, then I got into game development, and then esports in Bahrain, and then boom, esports worldwide. So it's
Amazing.
quite a journey.
Amazing.
Yep.
So I'm guessing a lot of obstacles took place along the way.
Of course. One of the main obstacles is trying to understand, because in 2016 when I started, all the information was esports worldwide, but not esports Bahrain.
Right.
So first I had to understand how to localize my knowledge, how to work with locals, and then how to bring the best out of them. Now it's the reverse. Now I need to go back into worldwide, but still focusing on what's happening. So knowledge was a challenge. Keeping up to date.
Right.
The industry is just bam, bam, bam.
Right.
Updating every now and then. Today's game is not going to be tomorrow's.
True.
Today's mentality is
True.
not tomorrow's. So it's more of gaining knowledge and making sure that you're up to date. And in 2016, when I started, the way I used to do it is I'll play with people. So you have that small barrier of, oh, you're a girl, but now, thank God, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
The barrier is much easier. There are a lot of gamers that are girls, that guys, all ages, all nationalities. So it's more, it's getting up, it's getting there. It's just a matter of, do I have time to play and time to work
Right.
now?
Ironically, you don't have time to play because you're actually at the esports scene, making other players happier, I guess,
Yes.
with the scene of the platforms.
Worth it, 100%.
Beautiful. So now, as been going on here with the Bahrain scene of esports, how's it different than the one in the international scenes?
Well, with the country actually developing and now people understanding what esports is, the problem
Right.
is we only have that one box of you competing in tournaments. But worldwide, it's much bigger than that. There are challenges to help you improve your skills. There are communities. There are like ways to help content creators. So there's an entire ecosystem where tournaments is just a small part of it.
Right.
Worldwide, there are programs like how to support content creators, how to support them in their creating not just their content, but their internet, for example.
Right.
How to create local heroes, how to create local content and making
Local
it
heroes.
worldwide. So there's so many things that we're learning it bit by bit, and hopefully with me being with the company Swarm You, we'll bring that to Bahrain.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, so far in Bahrain right now, they've been focusing more into just tournaments
Yeah.
and prizes. The
Yes.
bigger the prize is, the bigger the tournament is, and that's
Yes.
the perception, which is not really entirely true.
Yes. There are other ways for you to, so there is this mentality where people think that gamers just want to play to win,
Right.
but ignoring that they want to level up their skills. They're looking for their next squad. They're looking for next, people to compete against. This
Right.
is all being neglected. But now, the world has, proven that this ecosystem works, where you make the player not just make money, but build an entire lifestyle of socializing, monetizing, making their streams on YouTube or Twitch or whatever it is. If it's proven, now it's time for us to implement this in Bahrain. And the good thing is that here in Bahrain, we love content. Like,
Right.
we love content, we love creating content, and we like helping each other. So Bahrain is the perfect place to, have such an ecosystem, having it boost everyone's livelihood. Now with COVID also happening, the next step is live streams and creating content. So we're in the right place right now.
Amazing, amazing. So do you see some potential with some streamers right now taking place here in Bahrain?
Of course, everyone has a potential. It doesn't matter if they're small or big. In our company, Swarm You, we don't believe in the size of your followers.
Right.
We believe in the content that you create and the impact that you make.
All right.
So when we're saying content creators or influencer, we're talking about the people who have 20 followers to the people that have 1 million followers. They're all in the same pedestal. It's just a matter of who is willing to do the content and who's willing to be there for the community and support the community. So everyone is. You can be the next big influencer
love
that we
to.
would have. Definitely on the list. You could be the one. Your son could be the next up-and-coming content creator. This is the kind of environment that we need to build, an ecosystem that takes you from 1 to 100, not pull
Okay.
you from, not take you and throw you, and we'll see what happens. No, we're
Right.
there to support you. That's the purpose of an ecosystem.
Now, speaking of ecosystems and esport cultures, does every game have a different culture to it?
Yes and no. There are similarities. The difference is how competitive can they be.
All right.
So there are games where it's fine for you to mess up, and there are games that are very, I don't know how to even give an example,
All right.
but basically it's about, there used to be a huge difference. So you will see for Call of Duty, for example,
Right.
or for Halo, they used to call it very toxic because the community there is toxic. But now, as we're growing, as we're opening more opportunities and building an ecosystem, people are becoming more friendly. People are more into adapting new people in their team. A biggest example is when we had Tekken Master going to
Right,
going to Nasser. So people are opening up. The differences might be cultural, but not in the game itself. So people can participate. So there might be a game where, we don't want any girls because this is a shooting game, but then that culture is also changing bit by bit. There is
Okay.
hope.
Okay, now speaking on a generic platform, 2 more details. In Bahrain right now, still when people want to go to tournaments, they still think of Fortnite, PUBG, a little bit of FIFA. What do you think of that? Should we diversify or stick to that?
100%. It should be open more to all games, even mobile games.
Right.
Just to give people that feeling, that understanding of what esports is. So you have some people that will say, oh, we don't want to do tournaments because it's this big, complicated games. Okay, then we can do Hearthstone. It's more friendly. You can even have a tournament with Candy Crush or Tetris. You just open it up. The more people involved in it, the more people want to invest in it, the more companies want to invest in it,
Right.
the more everyone is happy with it. So imagine we reach a point where you can compete against your boss, or a person can compete against their grandma because
Right.
it's an open game. Everyone's having fun, content's being created, and money is being made eventually because of content and monetizing everything. So that's
Right.
the perfect
Right.
ecosystem.
Right now, it seems like there is a little bit of mainstreams more than anything else. They don't want to diversify out of that big names, you know. So, what do you think the future will be like for esports here in the Middle East? Let's say Bahrain alone.
Well, as I said, there is hope for things to change. It's just a matter of we need to have the right people doing the right thing to convince others.
Okay.
So, for example, a lot of people now play Fortnite, but are we able to convert them to play another game? If you take kids, for example,
Right.
can you let them stop playing that game and play Hearthstone, for example? We could if we introduce a perfect ecosystem for them where you can be mentored, you can make money out of it, you can get to know new people, get to work with your favorite influencer, for
Right.
example. So it's all about we have to make proper research first, of course, and then implement a plan that goes around in circles so that no one feels like they're being left out. So as you said here, the mentality is all just tournaments.
Right.
So today you compete in Fortnite and then tomorrow nothing happens. But what happens if on daily basis or every week there's something happening of community tournaments, challenge your own team,
Right.
build your own server in your old world in Minecraft. So
Nice.
imagine so many activities happening at the same time.
Right.
It makes you interested, it makes you happy, and it makes you more willing to jump into other games and other servers because it's fun. There's no what happens, like, you know, you're not worried about nothing to do today. You're not worried about not meeting new people.
Right.
You're always going to meet new people if we have the proper ecosystem in place.
It's pretty interesting what's happening here in Bahrain as well, is that they are really open to the esports scenes. Like Blast Pro took place, the PUBG big events in Morud, KHK esports. So now it's kind of like getting the educational side of things and getting more cultured in esports. So do you think like in the future right now we're going to see more of a bigger esports scene in Bahrain? I mean, what is your dream scenario here for Bahrain?
100%. My dream scenario would be that people are educated and we remove the stigma of gaming and esports.
Right.
Because one of the things that people tend to forget is that just like regular sport, esports can teach kids and everyone some esports manners, sports matter. People are not sour losers anymore.
All
People
right.
are more open. So there is an ethical and educational or behavioral benefits from playing games. Once that happens, I feel like you will see more events happening, not just international companies doing it, but Bahrain itself would have its own global finals or its own MENA finals, for example.
Okay.
So the ideal scenario would be not for Bahrain to depend on other companies bring their finals, but Bahrain is the one who's creating these global tournaments and doing the finals here because we can. Not
Amazing.
because we were picked, but because we can do it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So with that being said, any last words you want to tell to your viewers?
I would recommend always be open for change, always jump in between games, and if there is like any doubt that there is no future, look at how all the other people, like again, how Tekken Master leveled
Right.
up, how people from Saudi are leveling up now.
Right.
So there is hope. It just requires you to be more open, more willing to experiment with games, and always be on the positive side. So no need for you to be a sour loser or rage quit. The better person you are, the better of a player you are.
Amazing, amazing. And you being the director for the eSport business platform for an international entity is actually a big proof that things are actually happening and moving to the better positive vibes for esports. So
100%, 100%.
appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being with us here on Bahrain Now.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it yourself. Esports is getting bigger and bigger here in the Middle East and in Bahrain. Stay tuned for more happening here on Bahrain Now. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is an entrepreneur, a property developer, both a writer and a speaker. With us here tonight is Hamid Fakhro. How are you?
Habibi, doing good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for being here tonight.
Awesome. Always a pleasure.
Oh, pleasure's all
a pleasure
ours.
to be with a legend and such a famous guy like you.
Wow.
أتشرف.
Wow.
Anytime.
Wow, man.
Anytime.
That's pretty big.
ما عليك زود.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So now, pretty much about you, if you don't mind.
Well, I started off as soon as I came out of college. I started off a company with four of my best friends. It was called Quad.
Right.
And then within a few months, it became two of us.
Right.
And then within a few years, it became just me alone.
Okay.
So more of the story, do not work with your friends.
All right. That's a good start to the conversation. Okay.
Our first three companies crashed and burned.
Okay.
We lost all of our money. But on the fourth company, we learned most of the rules of business, how to get clients, and how to calculate your cash flow.
Right.
And alhamdulillah, we did great.
Amazing.
We made a killing, got into the stock market, got into the real estate market, and then I came back to Bahrain, built a couple of companies here, Fakhro Properties, Seed Business Center.
Right.
I got sick for a while, came back, invented a wash basin, and then I started up an accounting and audit firm, and I started up an incubator, and I had a few other failed companies along the way. So let's say I'm at a 50-50 ratio, a 0.5.
Right.
You know, 1 out of 2 works.
Okay.
So now I have about 6 or 7 companies, alhamdulillah. All are doing well. Some are just treading water, but overall, given that the market is such a tough market today, we're doing fantastic.
Amazing, amazing. And you've been mentoring a lot recently, right? And
Yes.
been writing in the newspapers?
Yes, sir. So after I got sick, I had cancer for about a year.
Oh, man. Okay.
While I was in bed, I was thinking, what have I done, you know, to give back to my country?
Right.
If I die, let's say, what have I left? Nothing. So I promised myself in that moment that if I lived, as soon as I get back, I'm going to give all my energy back to my country.
Amazing.
That gave me everything that I have. So I started writing for GDN, for Startup Bahrain. We started this whole movement. It wasn't me. I was a tiny part of this team of Ahmed Sawafiri, Mazen Sawafiri, and Badr Kamal. These guys are beasts. And the EDB picked up the movement.
Right.
And it went with it. And today it's a huge brand.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I worked with Injaz, I worked with IKNS, I worked with Bayonne School. And at a certain point, I decided that we need to have a local incubator for the local youth.
Right.
Somebody that understands the market. Because a lot of our incubators are foreign, either from Egypt or from Turkey or from. So I started the Startup Factory, and we have one great success story, which is Hiya Thawadi from Qalam, if you know her. She does these pins that you guys use here on BTV.
Yes, sir.
That's her. And she was a teacher. She left her job, and now she's working full-time. She left the incubator, and she's opening up an ice cream shop in Bukhara.
Okay.
And she's employing people, and she's fantastic. So this girl was a true businesswoman. And entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but she's a real special specimen. So I try to keep out my eye for people with talent.
Right.
And their application process is tough, bro.
I'm sure of it.
Really tough. I make sure that they jump over so many hoops.
Okay.
I give them an application.
Wow.
Ask for a business plan.
Okay.
Do an IQ test. Then I interview them, and then I throw them a trick question. If they can go through all of that and they still want to come in, I let them in. If they don't, then I don't.
I don't think I can make it. What kind of trick questions we're talking about here?
For example, I tell them, your business plan sucks.
Wow.
You have to change your whole idea.
Okay.
And I see how they react. If they're stubborn and they're like, no, you suck, and I'm right, that's what I want to hear.
Okay.
Because to be an entrepreneur, you have to really believe in yourself and your idea, and you can't take no for an answer. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not really looking for intelligence or anything special or unique. I'm looking for grit and determination.
Determination.
Because that's what makes it, right?
Right.
If you keep going, you can't lose.
Right.
You only lose when you stop.
Wow, man, you're mentoring me right now. I just love that. I just love this. So far from what you saw, and with all your startups and being a mentor and an entrepreneur and all that, things have been a little bit challenging in the last, I would say, 2 years, even this year right now so far.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I used to say in 2018 that the bad news is, and that we're in tough economic times. The good news is it can't get any worse.
Okay.
But then we got Corona, and it got much worse. I can say this year has been like 10 years for me.
Wow.
When it first hit and everything stopped, and we didn't know what was happening, and everyone shut down. My business revolves around SMEs. So I have a business center, I have an accounting and auditing firm.
Right.
And most of our clients either needed an address to shut down,
Wow.
or they needed an audit to shut down.
Oh, man.
And it was sad. It was really sad. And I mean, I cut costs. I fired people. I tightened the belt. We started turning off the ACs at night.
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling you, it was.
Wow.
We did things that we never did before. And luckily, we survived. And not only survived, we actually grew by the end of the year. But that's what you have to do when you're in business, right? You have to turn left when you have to go left, and you turn right when you have to turn right.
Right.
So we focused on SMEs. We focused on these tiny companies, these micros, and we lowered our prices to compete with freelancers even. So nobody has an excuse. You can't say we're too expensive, because we're not. And it's better to be full with a low price than empty with a high price, right?
Right.
And that's what we did. So most businesses are either doing that, and if they're not, they're going to shut down. A lot of restaurants are closing their branches and establishing food trucks only for delivery now. So they don't have the overhead of rent, electricity, water, municipality, etc. So they have to find a way to get through this crisis. And for sure, there's always a down and then there's always an up.
Right.
So we know we're going to go back up. And only the strong will survive. And once we're back to our old economic status, we're going to be great.
Amazing. I mean, definitely, I am so confident of that. I mean, even with all the tremendous efforts done by the kingdom as well for the reforms and trying to help, but still, these are challenging times. But we're holding it together, right?
For sure. And let me tell you this. We are lucky to be in Bahrain. We never got a lockdown. We never got forced to stay at home.
Amazing.
As a business, man, we had free electricity and water. As an individual, free electricity and water for a year.
Right.
We had lower municipality fees. We had Temkeen paying off salaries. We had Temkeen giving us support. I mean, the amount that this country carried us was unbelievable.
Beautiful.
And that for sure helped us float during those tough days.
Right.
Because our overhead came down by 50%, and our Bahraini employees were paid for.
Right.
And still, until today, they're still focusing on the industries most affected by Corona, like health clubs, tourism, and that kind of stuff.
Hospitality, yeah.
Yeah. And they just opened up again their old programs. So Temkeen right now, not only does your IT, accounting and auditing, your equipment and whatnot, but they're focusing on Sajilli.
Right.
So Sajilli is a virtual CR allowed only for Bahrainis. So if you're a kid coming out of college, you want to start a company, but you can't afford rent and you can't afford whatever.
You go virtual.
You pay 60 dinars, you get a virtual CR. It's valid for 2 years, and then you have to make it into a real CR.
Okay.
But you can get Temkeen support, you can get salary support, you can get laptops, PCs.
That's great.
You can get desks, you can get an ice cream truck if you want.
I would love that, yes. Have my own flavors.
So that's a really good direction, because in the US, all these giant companies like Google and whatever started from their garage, right?
Right.
So today you can get a Sajilli, work from your garage. Check it out for 2 years. What do you got to lose?
Exactly. Exactly.
Barat's crazy tech hut.
Selling ice cream as well.
It'll work.
Would love that. I mean, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
and you pretty much know the ins and outs of what's happening and what happened, what's going on now. But what's your perception of the future? You know, with all the things happening right now, you know, the craze and the hype on cryptocurrencies,
Right.
and the change of the centralization of fiat money,
Right.
and the businesses going virtual with Sijili. So what is
Yeah.
your perception?
Well, right now there's a fever in the market, and we can call it FOMO.
FOMO, okay, yeah.
Now, when Wall Street crashed, one of these joint investors, I forgot his name, he was getting stock tips from the kid who used to shine his shoes. So
Okay.
when the shoe shine boy was giving him stock tips, he knew that there was something wrong. Everybody was talking about it.
Right.
So when I get calls from people that have nothing to do with the stock market or nothing to do with investing, I feel there's something wrong.
Oh, wow.
And I've already been burnt by the first crypto rise and crash. Almost everybody trying to get into it and accepting it. But the stock market has two directions, up and down. It's been going up for a while. All the economic indicators are not supporting this growth. You have an unemployment of 700,000 per month in the US, which is pretty historic. It's at its highest level ever, and it's almost, there's a certain ratio, it's almost as high as before the dot-com
Oh, wow.
crash.
That is a big
Yeah,
thing. That's a big
it's
thing.
there. So I have a feeling there might be at least a correction,
Okay, correction, okay.
if not a depression.
All right.
Now, when that happens, it happens overnight. You don't, it's not like there's an earthquake, a little rumble before.
Yeah, it's
There's
just
no,
boom.
it's just boom,
It's there.
everything goes down.
Okay.
So I took my money out of the market for now.
All right.
I would not personally buy Bitcoin at 56,000. I might be right, I might be wrong. Will, you know, the currency change and all turn virtual? I don't know.
Okay.
But the definition of a currency is generally to be stable, right? You want to know that the dollar is a dollar. You don't want to know that the euro is at 1.3. You want to know that the pound is at 1.4, 1.5, 1.8, right? So it doesn't
Right.
fluctuate much.
Okay.
Now, when you buy something today that's 56,000 and tomorrow it's 36,000,
Right.
you know, is that a currency that you want to use?
It is. The volatility is pretty high with this one. Yeah,
It's a
the
little
force is
vol-
strong with this one.
Yeah, the force is strong, my friend.
Yeah.
It's a little too volatile to be defined as a currency, and almost everyone in it is in to make money and to pull out.
Yeah, the FOMO, like I said,
The
fear of missing
FOMO.
out.
Yes. So I don't know. It smells like it could have a future for sure
Okay.
because of the blockchain technology.
Right.
Is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be Dogecoin? Is it going to be TRX? I don't know. Is it going to be Tron? I have no clue.
Yeah, yeah.
XRP?
XRP, Litecoin, yeah.
I have no clue. We're in a crazy, chaotic sort of situation. I bought from the top 10
All right.
currencies, and I just kept them. And let's see what happens. But I didn't touch Bitcoin. I'm not going to
Okay.
touch it.
Okay. So pretty much your tips right now is to look into the crypto world just a little bit, just to understand what's happening. But what else can you give to entrepreneurs as tips right now to your viewers here on Bahrain Now?
Keep your money
Okay.
in your mattress. Keep it nice and safe.
All right.
All right.
Sir, yes,
Where
sir.
you can see it and you can touch it.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with buying silver, with buying gold.
All right.
Traditional, assets that you know will always have their value. If you're an entrepreneur, make sure that now it's all about cutting your costs.
Okay.
If you have any employee that's not carrying their weight, it's not personal, cut them off.
Right.
If you can downsize to a smaller office, downsize.
Right.
Put your time and effort more than your employees because you'll be saving expenses. And follow your balance sheet. If you can see that you're consistently losing money, you have to shut. You have to find something else. If you're breaking even or making a little bit of money, go for the growth. Try to grow yourself. I can't tell you how to grow yourself. Everyone has their own path,
Right.
right? Either you can market or you can do sort of joint ventures or partnerships
Right.
with other firms that benefit you. So what I did, for example, I found a lot of different accounting firms or agents, tied up with them, and gave them a cut of the business that they get me.
Right.
So I have like 10 or 20 people out there getting me work, right? And that made me thrive. So you have to find these ways and techniques and to be social and to be, it's all about service. If people trust you and people believe in what you're doing, they give it to you and their eyes are shut, you know? So it's about reputation. It's about doing your job and doing it well. It's about being perfect. When you make a mistake, you admit your mistake and you correct it immediately. Somebody wants their money back, give them their money back. Make sure that the client is always happy, because the only way you can grow is through reputation and referrals. So that's what's been keeping me alive, alhamdulillah.
Amazing.
And I suggest that, man. It's about the hustle, it's about the hard work, it's about the rep, it's about so many different things, you know.
Right. Keeping it real, huh?
Trying to keep it
Definitely.
real, my man.
Well, Mr. Hamid, thank you so much for being with us here on
Thank you.
Bahrain Now. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Habibi.
Pleasure.
Pleasure is mine.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a real talk with Hamid Fakhro happening here on Bahrain Now. Stay tuned for more. A Bahraini artist whose street art has crossed the streets of Bahrain to Dubai and Tunisia. The one who gives life and color to dull, empty walls. And not only that, he is a calligrapher artist and a designer as well. Ladies and gentlemen, with us here tonight is Mustafa Al-Halwachi. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure and an honor, and actually it's beautiful to have you with us here today.
Pleasure and honor
you
is all
beauties
mine.
all over the place.
Thank you, thank you. Seriously.
Calligraphy, and you do street art, and you're a designer. So where can we start?
Wherever you like. I mean, I don't know. Street art.
Okay.
That's like my passion and the thing that kind of like weaves into everything that I do.
So how did it start?
Long time ago in college, around 93, 94, met a group of young artists that used to do this on the weekend for fun.
Okay.
And I really like the energy of that type of art. Before that, I was like very traditional in the sense, I've always been an artist since middle school, you know.
Amazing.
But I was like very traditional. So studio and schoolwork and like mostly, you know, the traditional approach. But when I saw how they were like going at it on the weekend, they would go out, choose a wall, like in an abandoned spot. And then just like let loose and like paint these huge walls.
Beautiful.
That whole energy just kind of like attracted me. But when I like after college, that was like, again, when I came back to the Gulf, back then it was really unheard of, and it had a big stigma to go paint on a wall, you know. So trouble followed suit very, very soon after, and I decided to give it a rest for a while.
Okay. Okay.
Focus on my other endeavors, because I was studying design then, and I was focusing on developing, portfolio and product design, furniture design as well. So that needed dedication, focus. So that time, art took a side note, took a side. Yeah.
Okay.
Kicked back in. I couldn't ignore it long enough. So at some point, like the design and the whole furniture and the carpentry and the corporate style of work kind of like started taking a turn. You know, you grow up and you start deciding, you know, what's important in your life.
Exactly. Keep a balance.
Keep a balance. So I needed the art back. So 2011, 2012, Ministry of Culture kicked off an event.
Okay.
And they contacted us. Back then we were like 4 or 5 who were doing this.
Okay.
So and the fire just kicked back big time, and I was like, why did I neglect this? And decided to put a lot of focus on it, and then it became like 50-50 between the workshop and the thing and my street art endeavors. At some point they just merged, and it helped my product design as well.
Amazing.
And rest is history. I stopped doing a lot of that other corporate design, interior design and all that. I just gave it a rest. I did not find myself in it. I just focused on what I can do best, you know, what I'm passionate about, and something found out at some stage in my life that I can transform into a business as well.
Right, amazing.
So yeah, and that's how the story goes, you know. So started like really, I would consider my starting point. It was like 2012. So
2012.
8, 9 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Full time.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So you said in the beginning it was pretty much difficult or challenging to have street art, graffiti
Very,
art on
yeah.
walls. So what happened that it became a norm, and even to the point that people are calling you in events like, "Hey, do our walls."
We want to have you paint on a wall. You know, well, it's not a local thing. It's not a regional thing. It's a global thing. So street art started taking like graffiti and street art. Graffiti was viewed very badly in the Western like side of the world. So it was like mostly viewed as like strictly vandalism. A lot of those writers used to go and write on buses and trains. It was really frowned upon. And I think that's the stigma that came to our area. They saw the negative aspect of it. Now street artists, on the other hand, tried to balance that notion in the sense that they started beautifying the city, adding culture, adding a touch of humanity in those walls and those gray areas of towns. So they opened it up, and it gained popularity globally, where it started becoming like one of the touristic attractions of certain countries, where people do go to that certain part of town to see that artist who did that wall, and bit by bit, it just became a whole global movement.
Amazing.
And that also, the wave just came here, and our endeavors, again, when I was exposed to it, I was exposed to the negative and the positive.
Right.
So when I decided to kind of take that endeavor and do it here in our country, of course, I'm going to focus on the positive because I want to.
Because we need to keep it going.
And we need to make, create the impact. I've seen how it could help certain areas develop in the sense of economics, even GDP, even retail value, real estate value. Like I've seen it with my own eye, and how things change from ghettos or from very unliked and then all of a sudden it becomes a hipster town because of all the art, and all the cafes want to be there now.
Right.
Because all the tourists are going there now. So all of a sudden.
For the art itself.
Exactly. And it's a community. Street art is something for the public as well. So it's not like it's not like the other forms of art where it's for a certain set of the society, for a certain part of society that goes to galleries, that goes to museums. Street art is more like a public art intervention, so it's for everybody, young, old, educated or not, art lover or not. It's in the face of everyone, so it gets people talking, it gets people thinking. So it's kind of like a dialogue with society. It got us as an artist. Like in the past, artists used to be very isolated to do their work. I didn't feel that was making me, an active part in the society. So public art, which is like street art, made me feel definitely this is a part of making me like an integral part of the society. You're communicating with everybody.
Beautiful.
So.
Beautiful. Yeah. So where can we find your art here in Bahrain?
Okay. So I do my endeavors, which is like my contribution to the island, to our countries, which is like no one is telling me. I just go decide and then talk to the people, the owners, or if it's an abandoned house, then it's an abandoned house, and I go choose my walls carefully and do those, the pieces I want to do. So they are following my theme strictly. Most of those are in Adliya, Block 338.
338, huh?
Yeah.
338, nice.
Because it was also, Block 338 had the first actual street art festival in Bahrain during the Nest days, where that's how we all started, kind of, in 2013, where it kicked off with the Rawak Art Space, and they were doing this annual festival, and I was a resident in that festival like every year, and that just kept going and going. So Adliya kind of had that reminiscent bit in our beginnings. So we feel a belonging, that was like we've been here painting every year. So now the Nest has stopped happening, but we didn't.
Okay.
We kept going.
Yeah, you kept going.
Yeah. So and
Love
people
it.
also kind of are used to seeing art around that area, so it's not something out of the ordinary. So I felt like this was a good space for us to kind of start. The plan is to move everywhere, but that needs a lot, logistics, legalities,
Right.
permissions and whatnot. Working on it, but it's taken a bit more time than I thought. Anyway, so Adliya is the main.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly. Now I do commissioned projects as well. So I've done Bahrain Bay, the wharf
Okay.
area. You probably have seen the columns.
Definitely.
And I've done with a group. It was a collective project that we've done the entrance wall to Diyar al-Muharraq. It was the longest running
It's amazing.
mural in the Gulf until last year, where it
Wow.
got beat,
Wow.
and no one knows about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, wait, that was your work.
Yeah, it was like a collective of artists, two from Dubai, I was from two from Bahrain, and two from Saudi. So,
Okay.
so we all came together and we created that mural. It was all based on Arabic calligraphy, but very modern, of course. And it kind of also provokes the feeling of the sea and the location of it, because the location is exactly on the sea. So everything was flowing. So, and I had a small bit of that wall, but I was part of that whole project.
Amazing. I love it. It's
Yeah.
just like now I'm just remembering all the arts. I'm like, wait, that was your work.
Yeah, it was part of
Love
that
it.
project. Yeah.
But only in Bahrain, you went all the way to Dubai and Tunisia. So
yeah,
how
Dubai was happening like on and off, because I grew up in Dubai, so I have a lot of contacts. And when I came back from college, I was still living in Dubai at that point.
Okay.
And I was doing some art, but not graffiti and street art. But I was still working I was still, what's the word? Again, I'm lost for word. I was still participating in art events and stuff, but it was completely different. Like it was based on installation and design mostly.
Okay.
Lighting and whatnot. So I was on and off going, like when I moved back to Bahrain in 99, 2000. So, and I didn't have not a lot of friends, and I just knew a lot, like just small number of people. So I would still go back to Dubai and participate in things.
Okay.
Now also in Dubai, the fad started catching up. So like a lot of street artists, they started doing a lot of events and bringing big names in the street art globally, like global street art movement. They started bringing big names to Dubai to participate in things and paint walls during events and whatnot. So that started catching as well momentum in Dubai.
Right.
So a company that sells the graffiti spray cans that we use started this annual festival.
All right.
And they do meets. And it's actually not annual, biannual, so it's twice a year. And they do graffiti art meets. So a lot of artists coming in, mostly from Dubai, but like I'd go participate from Saudi. The friends that used to that we participate with here,
Okay.
they would come there and participate, and it becomes like a big hangout of graffiti artists.
Amazing.
And just paint these walls in these factory areas in the backside of Dubai. And it goes on, like it's very underground, but it's not at the same time.
Right, I hear you. I mean, it's been pretty much like a thing, but now it's becoming like a norm, and people actually
Very
want to
much.
see it.
Yeah,
It's like they want to be part of it and just learn it.
It's as well as the progression of things. So everything evolves in life.
Right.
So that's the evolution of, like, graffiti is the evolution of calligraphy, and like because graffiti is based off letters,
Right.
right? And it's developed letters uniquely. So I would develop my own set of letters. And
Exactly, as we see
other
here right
artists would do. So when you see that tag or that, I was like, oh, that's that guy.
Amazing.
From the the formulation of the, but it's based off calligraphy. So it's a natural evolution. So people kind of tend to follow the new as well. So it takes time for things to break through, but then when an understanding happens, it just
It happens.
it just happens, and
It's
it's just
go
like
beautifully.
it just like forest fire. It's just
Organic. And
spread out.
I mean, not only doing street art, but then you went to, like you said, calligraphy and a designer. I can see some of the products right here.
Yes, sir.
Your own handmade products.
Absolutely.
Your own brand.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
So, this also is a part of like the notion that art can become a business. You can transform it into a product. And this is just a bit of it. So, I mean, everybody goes to a gift shop.
Right.
And like, you're like stuck with like, you know, buying a gift for someone who's like birthday coming up. You'd go and buy him a notebook. You'd go buy him stuff like that, you know? So why not have our own lines as artists, you know?
True.
And fashion comes into it. You
True.
know, and we've done t-shirts in the past as well. But lately I've been focusing more on the tradition. So like I'm really much into like I'm really into recycling. So, and the whole spray can with art on it, this is like a graffiti tradition.
Okay.
So most graffiti writers and like, you know, have their own set of cans and they sell them, they exchange them.
Okay.
So I thought I want to do that as well, but had my own little twist. And
Yeah, I
like
can
did
see
a
that.
bit
Oh,
of-
these are beautiful letters. Arabic
Yeah,
letters
Arabic
blowing
letters
out of the
exploding
can,
out of the can.
exploding.
Exactly. Candle holders with like, you know, like Arabic letters like thrown out on the table and you can just play with them. It becomes like a thing that you can like change the way it's set up every day. It's like kind of a jigsaw puzzle but with letters and
Okay.
a candle holder.
Okay.
Notebooks, we've done a lot of those and I used to like also like make them for friends and just give away. But since about 2017, 2018, a lot of this pop-up market started happening in Bahrain, Dubai, and Saudi. So I started like participating in these things and they've been going very well. And they just kept on developing. I started doing, again, I have a background in carpentry.
Right.
So I've also loved the wooden element. So most of my products that I make also is made of like really good quality wood. So it's also longer lasting, it also holds value, and you know, again, it's hand painted, handwork, and it's very modern. So started going into vases. I've always been doing tables, but started putting more art into my tables, and even my cabinets. I paint on the doors, kind of, you know, stuff like that, and mini art. And I've been loving this. I've been doing this for quite a while as well.
Okay.
And they're very popular. So they're based on work that I've done on walls,
Okay.
but they're like small. So
Miniatures.
miniature. So
Okay.
you can like pick it up, and they've been selling like hotcakes.
All right.
Every pop-up that I go, just like they're the first ones that go.
Amazing.
So kind of like that. So this is also to showcase for other artists coming up today, and also proof for families that think that their kids are doing art. So what are they going to do for a living? It's like you can do a lot.
You
for
can do a
living.
lot, right?
It depends on your mindset, and depends on how flexible and agile and your willingness to go further into your craft.
Okay. So, before we even end this conversation, although it's really going beautiful with the information flowing us,
Thank you.
and you know, the beauty of it, Ma'mal and the workshops you've been doing.
Yeah. So Al-Ma'mal was my old Ma'mal. It was like when I was doing my interior design, my carpentry, it was my workshop, my actual workshop. It was like a warehouse, and my studio was always elsewhere, separated completely from this, you know, and I had that split thing. But like I said earlier,
Right.
so things were like moving more into my product design and prototyping again, and I was focusing on my furniture and my art. COVID happens.
Right.
Right, and I got stuck. My workers were away. I was planning to be away in festivals. I was like I said, January I was in Dubai. February till March I was in Tunis. I was supposed to be in Kuwait Design Week. After that, I was supposed to be gone until May.
Things changed.
Without notice, you know,
Yeah.
you get that shock of a lifetime, and it was like,
right.
all right,
Changed
you have no
everything.
plans now. You gotta think of something. So I had this space, which at that moment was just a big storage because I was like gone for a long time. Like whoever used to come and help with my work, they've already left, you know, and they were like stuck in their countries as well. So I was stuck with this space. It's a mess. It's a big storage, and no place for me to work, and I cannot not work.
Right.
You know, with doing this, it's quite addictive. And if you sit down long enough without, you know, expressing, it gets heavy. So I decided, you know, I could, you know, build my space here. Why didn't I think of this earlier? So literally it's just me, a friend, and my son sometimes comes and helps. And we built my studio inside Al-Ma'mal,
Okay.
hence the name Al-Ma'mal.
Right.
And then it became a thing. It's just like So while I was working, so I ended up having a good space, isolated, distancing, all good, COVID compatible. And then whoever used to come in, I used to make sure that they're in masks. And so I follow suit and trying to be as safe as possible. While I was building the place, the idea came to me that this place is great for me to do, like I said, workshop sessions,
right,
but online.
Online sessions, right?
Online sessions, because, you know, COVID again, there's no events around, everybody's at home, everybody's on social media, Instagram and whatnot. So I decided to do those sessions. So I call them Al-Ma'mal sessions.
Al-Ma'mal sessions.
And they are based on my everyday work. Basically, it's focusing on me and what I do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's carpentry, whether it's art, whether it's whatever. But at the same time, it's collaborating with other artists, creatives. We had a fashion designer in.
Okay.
We had a band. We had a DJ.
So you have it all.
And other artists. So
amazing.
And then it would go live on Instagram
media.
For the night. Like that night, it would go completely live, and everybody can like witness like a collaborative effort of a bunch of creatives finding a way to do something in a time where there was nothing happening.
Amazing.
So yeah, and then it just started developing, and then so the idea is like to build up these sessions until they become like a series, have a YouTube platform,
right,
and then maybe pull in like, you know, more informations sessions. So whatever we're doing, we would have like a kind of like a
informative sessions. Yeah,
exactly.
Like
so this is what we're using. This is the technique. You should use this before that. You know, so whatever we're painting, we're giving information as well to help people that are interested in building their crafts.
Amazing.
Which today I feel like it's heading that way. A lot of people are like getting back into it. Again, a lot of people have a lot of time in their hands and
make the most out of it.
Exactly. Boredom is good sometimes.
Well, with that being said, so before we end this,
yes, sir.
Any last tips to your viewers here at Bahrain Now?
Yeah, sky's the limit, and your
limit.
human potential is with no bound. So dig deep, you know, look in every angle, and you never know what you might find. It's right in front of you. It was about to be thrown away, and then it's something.
Right.
You know, if one thing I learned from this year, it's that, you know, sometimes it's right there, but you don't know.
Thank you so much. This was inspirational, real. You were keeping it real.
Absolutely.
And
always.
Definitely beautiful and creative. Thank you so much for being with us here on Bahrain Now.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Pleasure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do keep a lookout on Mustafa's work here in Bahrain, Dubai, or even Tunisia. More happening here on Bahrain Now. And now with a message regarding the COVID-19 updates with one of the Ministry of Health's representatives.
Hello and good evening. I am Dr. Ijlal Al-Alawi, Public Health Consultant, Field Supervisor of Testing and Vaccination Halls in Bahrain International Exhibition Center. With the increase of COVID-19 cases, I would like to advise everyone to adhere to the precautionary measures to stop the spread of COVID-19 infection in our society. Most importantly is to avoid the social gatherings and avoid going out of home unless necessary. Also, you should wash your hands and sanitize them repeatedly. You should wear your face mask even at home if you are close to an elderly person. You should sanitize the common surfaces and avoid sharing personal belongings. If you have any warning symptoms like coughing or sneezing or fever, please isolate yourself and call 444 to get appointment for testing. Also, I would like to emphasize that the vaccinations are generally safe. They've been playing a major role in controlling infections since many years, especially with such situations like pandemics, especially now in the COVID-19 pandemics. In Bahrain, the COVID-19 vaccination campaign started several months ago with a huge support from our king, His Majesty, the king, who declared that COVID-19 vaccinations will be available free of charge for all citizens and residents of Bahrain. That's why we urge you to go and receive one of the 4 available vaccines. And let me assure you, they are all safe. They are all proven to be effective in reducing the chance of you getting infected. And if, God forbid, you got infected, most probably it will be mild, it will not cause complications or death. Finally, I want to add that we are one team. We are the team of Bahrain, and everyone has a social responsibility to commit. So let's work all together to overcome this pandemic, inshallah.
The Food is Culture Festival concluded its 6th edition on Saturday, the 3rd of April 2021 at the Pearling Path Visitor Center in Muharraq, with an event that brought together Bahraini artist and photographer Ghada Khunji with Mexican chef Irvin Morales from Cantina Kalo restaurant, with the presence of Her Excellency Sheikha Hala bint Mohammed Al Khalifa, Director General of Culture and Arts, and a limited number of culture enthusiasts in the Kingdom of Bahrain, as well as media representatives.
So we meet this evening at the Pearling Path Visitor Center at the heart of the heritage city of Muharraq. We are finalizing Food is Culture, this wonderful experience. It's been going on for 6 years. Special thanks to the wonderful artist Ghada Khunji for her collaboration with Cantina Kalo's chef. I look forward to future editions of Food is Culture. I thank all the guests who have joined us today. We're all following the national guidelines, and we're a small group, but hopefully the content of this festival, of this collaboration between the chefs and the artists, will be produced in a publication very soon. Thank you very much.
This year, as a 6th year, we explored a very different approach, had artists of a much younger generation and chefs also from very different sectors to come together and explore a collaboration. But the difference was this year we gave them 5 different venues in Bahrain. This allowed them to interact almost like having a third partner. And so they researched the venue they were in, whether it was Rafa' Fort or the Pearl Path Visitor Center or our museum theater. And these venues are very important for us as a culture and a history. And these young people came and looked at what this venue meant for their work, for their art, for their food, and brought these things together to create a very interesting collaboration. We wanted to encourage people, especially Bahraini businesses, maybe young chefs starting out with small shops, and get them to be active and energized in a very difficult year. And so we kept going with limitations, with registration, with a different approach so that we could still hold our event during COVID-19, and hopefully soon we will see a return to an easier normal time.
First of all, I'm very, very thrilled to be part of Food is Culture 6. So it's been happening for many years, and I think it's such a fantastic concept to bring something like taste into the art itself, because all the senses get used. And I did it as an homage to my favorite artist, Frida Kahlo, and sort of embodied her, and wanted to mix my own culture, which is from Bahrain, but also with Mexico. And both of us actually were related to each other, Mexicans and Arabs. So I took these 3 different scenes. The first scene was with the birds, which expresses freedom. The second scene expressed power. And the third scene is sort of life, love, and death, and those kinds of emotions. So yeah.
Yeah, well, here what we're trying to do, it was basically in the first show to give to, well, we wanted to mix the culture of the Arabic with the Mexican also. So my place here was to give something of the Mexican food and culture here. What I did in the first one, it was 2 drinks, which are very popular in Mexico. The first one, it was horchata, the arroz, which means rice water. And the second one, it was chipiona, which is a kind of lemonade. And then on the second one, it was the hot food. I prepared mole oaxaqueño, with a chicken and some sesame seeds. And then for the third one, we made a dessert, which was a cheese mousse with berries coulis, and it was covered with chocolate and just painted with red glaze. And that's it.
Just that I'm honored that Baca chose me to do one of these performances, and with Chef Irvin from the Ritz from Cantina Calo. It's a dream come true because, you know, we have this restaurant called Cantina Calo, and to finally, it's like the two souls met together and we created this beautiful scene, and especially at this beautiful venue called the Pearling Path, which just opened. So I'm very, very grateful, and to all this beautiful audience that came out to see us.
No, well, thank you, and I hope everybody enjoy the Mexican also culture, the mix of the Mexican and Arabic culture here, and it was a pleasure to be part of this. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Mariam Al-Bayati reporting for Bahrain International. Gracias por ver.
And that was it for tonight's episode. An amazing run we had here on Bahrain Now. I would like to thank everyone who helped put this together, and would like to thank you for staying and tuning in with our show. So till next time, take care and God bless.